reservoir. I'd also like to mention that I'm really anxious to go voting in the shadow of the Palisades Mall. Thank you.
Good evening, Council. I thought about what I was going to say tonight, and I know whatever I say isn't going to change the vote, but I thought maybe there might be some items that I think the public should be aware about. I wanted to first think about some of the positive things that have come out of this project. And it might shock you to think that maybe there are some. One of them is the $10 million more. As to who gets the credit, I think we'll leave that up to the public. It is a better deal in that regard than what you negotiated in December. That we can't deny. I think another benefit of this whole entire project and the environmental impact study was that the public became educated on what one word meant, and that's pilot. We've now seen people be very well aware of a pilot, which is a tax abatement. And now we're seeing a new word, which is inducement, but people will get used to hearing that word as well. Taxpayers only want everyone to pay full taxes. That's what I wanted all along from this project. That was my one major concern, and I think Mr. Lesnick knows that because I've had a lot of discussions with him on that. I think also another positive thing to come out of this is that the public is now aware of how not to conduct an environmental process review of a project. This is a clear example of how a process is totally flawed. The last thing is the idea of a charrette, which on the surface looked like a wonderful idea. It was going to vet the entire issue of traffic and come up with solutions that would be acceptable to all sides. I have some questions, though, that I think really, truly tonight I would like to hear publicly from some of you as elected officials. Because if you're going to vote on this, you need to come out to the public and explain a lot of this to us. Because I certainly, during the last 3 years, have been asking some of these questions and haven't gotten a straight answer. One of them is, exactly explain the financial benefit package to us all. We keep hearing that they're paying $9.5 million in taxes. I want a breakdown of what that's comprised of. I've asked for this since December, and I think if anybody remembers at the Battle of Ridge Hill, which News 12 held on the Crystal Manor Hotel on Tuckahoe Road, the city administration handed out a flyer which gave the breakdown of that $9.5 million. That was $3.5 million for condo taxes, that's the condo owners, and I don't have any problem with them paying their taxes. It was $6.3 in a lease rental payment that should be paid to the Ridge Hill Development Corporation, a $1.7 million pilot, a payment in lieu of taxes, and $2 million in debt service, leaving $9.5 million. That's what the city administration handed out. I asked for the breakdown for publicly before that. The answers that I got was, what difference does it make where the $9.5 million comes from as long as it's $9.5 million? That's very much like saying, I've made $10 million in drug sales, and I'm going to donate all of that to my church. And my church should not ask them where the $10 million came from because it was $10 million. It's wrong. The public needs to understand exactly what taxes Forest City Radnor is paying to the city, what taxes is being paid to the Ridge Hill Development Corporation in the form of a lease payment. There was promises of $5 million to the schools out of that 6.3. Now we don't hear that anymore. We're not sure where all of this money is coming from. If they buy out that lease payment, from what I hear, I reported $18 million, which is the debt service of the Ridge Hill Development Corporation. We've lost. I really think somebody on the council tonight needs to fully explain the 9.5, or now I hear it's 10 million. You bumped it up a little bit. So I guess maybe the pilot went from 1.7 to 2.2. I would also like to hear an actual reason for not addressing the two doable road accesses before taking the vote tonight. You know, you're going to hear it over and over again. We had a charrette. And we participated fully, thinking that we were trusting in the process. We trusted in the process the first time, and the rug was pulled out from under us. We were told the charrette for $60,000 would provide us with some answerable solutions to the traffic. I guess I'm over my time limit, but I'd like to just tell you, I think you need to answer that. You need to answer how this plan is much different for the traffic mitigation than in December. You're voting for something where you have nothing to hold over for a city rather's head. Chuck, if I was playing poker with you, I'd love to play because you laid all your cards out on the table.
Knockers. That's due to some problems we have with the zoning code that has a lot of ambiguities. And I stepped away from my pile of stuff once again because we're contemplating a zoning change and to a zoning code that's already getting to administer it, really understand it. And on various sites, they change the zoning code, they change it from various residential areas to multi-use areas without thinking where they really wanted to be in the end. And it has resulted in many neighborhoods having a really burdened parking situation, burdened traffic situation, burdened access for emergency vehicles, narrow alleys, and the like. And it seems to me that these developers probably said, well, you know, we're going to provide jobs, we're going to provide needed housing. But they didn't realize that in the end, there was a very heavy price to pay. I'm looking here at this school that has peeling paint. The chairs are biting my butt. I mean, it's really, I mean, maybe some of the people here could be employed to fix some of the structures that we already have in place. That would be great. So those are my comments basically on the parks in Lower Manhattan. And I don't think it was really a bored housewife that got him not to do it. I think it's concerned citizens that sometimes they